The Persona series began as a spin-off of the Shin Megami Tensei series, but in recent years it's become so widely popular that it holds its ground as what might be ATLUS' most popular franchise. I mean, the most recent game sold 1 million copies in its first week, becoming one of ATLUS' fastest selling games ever. When it comes to the series though, the majority will only talk about Persona 3, 4 or 5. But there's one game that slipped through the cracks and has practically been forgotten about. A game about the weight of guilt, the fragility of memory, and the power that rumours can hold. And most importantly, a game that doesn't get the credit I think it deserves. Today's video will be about the Persona game that nobody talks about. There are two, or technically three Persona games that the majority of fans tend to ignore. Persona 1, as well as both halves of Persona 2, Innocent Sin and Eternal Punishment. The problem is, I still haven't got around to playing Persona 1, and I only played about halfway through Eternal Punishment. Even still, Innocent Sin alone hit me so hard that I knew I had to talk about it. Every time I mention this game and how much I love it, I met with the same response.
Hey, isn't that the Hitler game?
And, I mean, yeah, I guess. But there's a lot more to this game that deserves to be considered, so I wanted to talk about why I think that this game is so special. From its cast, to the setting, gameplay, and story as a whole. This isn't meant to be a full breakdown of the game or anything. I want to keep this short and sweet. This is just a defense of a game that I think deserves a lot more attention than it gets. So on that note, let's get started. With most modern Persona games, my thoughts on the cast vary heavily. Some characters I love, while others can be a lot more forgettable and less developed. I'll avoid naming any names to make sure there are no flame wars in the comments. With Persona 2 though, I don't find myself having that issue. The main cast is smaller than the average modern Persona game, but each character has some solid development and some real human flaws that make it hard not to love every one of them. Tatsuya Suo is our protagonist, and much like this game, he's probably my favourite in the series. On one hand, he's stoic, reserved, and everything else you'd expect from a cool guy written in 1999. On the other, he comes face to face with demons and his first instinct is to make motorcycle noises into a microphone. Our main party consists of 5 other characters. Lisa Silverman, Akechi Mishina, Maya Amano, Yukino Mayuzumi, and Jun Kurosu. I am so sorry if I mispronounced any of those names, I'm doing my best here. Lisa is an idol in training, and actually a Caucasian girl who moved to Japan and now speaks fluent Japanese. So essentially, Anne from Persona 5, but better. Akechi is a wannabe rock star from a rival school, and probably one of my favourite bro characters from these games. Everyone who's played Persona 2 agrees he's fantastic. Maya is a big sister figure to most of the cast, and constantly does her best to make sure the younger members of the cast stay positive throughout the story. Yukino is actually a returning character from Persona 1, which I think is great. It makes the stories feel really interlinked without relying too heavily on previous knowledge, which is where I think Eternal Punishment struggles a little bit more. Lastly, Jun Kurosu doesn't join the main party for a good while into the story, for reasons I'll be talking about later. He's a lot more shy and graceful than the rest of the cast, and bonus points, to my knowledge, the only canon gay romance in Persona. Good for him. Every character in this game feels so human, especially compared to how gimmicky modern Persona characters can be. Even the side characters have some really interesting and realistic issues, and from what I remember, they're all handled really well. It all comes together to make Sumeru City feel alive. Speaking of, Sumeru City is probably my favourite setting in any Persona game. Compared to the modern games, it feels incredibly fleshed out and diverse. The city has 6 main sections, each having their own variety of smaller areas that makes each one unique to explore. The events of the game take full advantage of this too, as your party exploring schools, clubs, museums, and other areas. Even the locations you don't explore during the story, you have plenty of chances to during regular gameplay. And with that amazing segue, let's talk about this game's gameplay, because frankly I'm not sure what else to say here. I think the most important thing to make clear from the get-go is that this game does not play remotely similar to the modern Persona formula. There's no day-to-day system, no main dungeon system, you just fight shadows in the overworld. There aren't even social links. The closest you get are the small interactions characters have in each building between story events. Definitely a bit of a downside, I know, but I'm sure it's something they'll fix when they inevitably remake this game. Right? Anyways, I can't bring myself to say that the changes are all negative, even if it took some time getting used to it first. The battle system comes with a variety of unique features that make it stay interesting to play and experiment with. To start, in this game, shadows have an emotion function, which affects how they act during battle. You can use this to your advantage with the game's contact or demon negotiation system, where you can either interact with the demon directly or with members of your party to impact its emotions. Almost like a sort of beta for the Showtime attacks from Persona 5. Whether this is a positive or negative change depends on how you choose to interact with your enemy. Depending on the emotion you max out first, enemies can either attack you more, offer to make a pact with you, or even run from battle themselves. When it comes to using your party, some specific pairs actually have unique interactions and all of them are fun to see. I think that if you romance June and use your contact with them afterwards, it makes every demon angry, which is... well, they're demons, they aren't going to be very tolerant, I guess. Another feature unique to this game's battle system is the fusion spell function. If the contact system is like a beta for Showtime attacks, this is like a really early idea for what all-out attacks turned out to be. By combining your spells with those in your party, you deal massively increased damage, and some really nice looking sprites cut onto screen. Outside of combat, exploration as a whole has some unique aspects to it as well. A major theme of the story, which I'll be getting to soon I promise, is the spreading of rumours and the effect that it can have. So in a really smart choice of feature, the game allows players to take advantage of that theme and pay others to spread rumours around town and benefit them. Whether it be simple high school rumour mongers or a full-blown detective agency, it's really sick to see the game's main gimmick actually being used by players rather than only against them. One last thing I want to mention is that from what I remember, there are actually bonus dungeons you can explore between the main story events, which make use of some of the locations you don't get to explore in the story. You can get information on these by asking about some of the rumours being spread around the city, and although I never took advantage of it myself, I still think it's a really nice feature for those who want some extra gameplay. And now that that's all out of the way, it's finally time for me to get into why I really love this game, and talk about the story. I'll give a spoiler warning for anyone who wants to give the game a try themselves, because I promise you, the following summary could never do it justice. I'll be honest, the story of this game took me a bit to get into. It had some crazy interesting plot devices and gimmicks, and I always loved the characters, but I was really having trouble getting invested for a while. I first played the game with my boyfriend Sam, and I specifically remember him being completely convinced that the game was just mid, that I had been lied to and it wasn't actually that good. I couldn't bring myself to give up after investing so much time into it already though. I held out hope because every time I investigated the game's story, one location kept coming up. Mount Iwata. Over and over, the common consensus was that this was where the story suddenly went from a bit messy to peak. So I pushed through, trying to process what was happening, eventually finally making it to Mount Iwata, and... oh my god. I get it! Persona 2's story revolves around the power of rumours in a world where they come to life. Considering the time the game was released, this theme actually makes a lot of sense. In the late 90s, rumours were everywhere. The internet just started to pick up, myths and misinformation were at an all-time high. Following this theme, from the beginning of the game we learn that not only are rumours being spread all across Sumeru City, but they're actively reshaping reality. It ranges from curses placed on those who wear school emblems to the resurrection of certain historical figures. If a rumour is spread far enough, it'll come true. One of the most important things spread throughout the story involves a game that students have been playing, called the Joker game. Rumour has it that if you call your own cell phone, a mysterious entity known only as Joker will appear and grant your wish. This rumour, like the others in the city, comes true. But what wasn't known was that Joker would also steal the souls of anyone who harbour regrets, leaving them empty husks. Our cast are awakened to their personas early by a godlike being known as Philemon, creator of all personas and boss of Igor in the Velvet Room. Once they come to understand this power, they decide to track down Joker and put a stop to the chaos he's causing. This isn't made easy for our characters though. The cast are repeatedly hindered by a group known as the Masked Circle, followers of Joker, and their goal is to use the newfound power of rumours to change the world as a whole, and reawaken another godlike being, Nyarlathotep, the embodiment of humanity's destructive nature and counterpart to Philemon. I'll be going into a lot more detail for this next section, because I think it's one of the most important, and frankly, just one of the best sections of the entire game. It's also pretty convoluted, so I'm really sorry if it's difficult to understand when summarized. I'm working with what I got. After being sent across the city, eventually our party is led to Mount Iwata. Throughout the time we're exploring the mountain, we're led by the ghost of a young schoolgirl, and everyone but Tatsuya begins to act off. Lisa and Akechi begin to show the memory of something they hoped was a bad dream, and before long we begin to see glimpses of the past. 4 children and an older schoolgirl all playing together, each of them outcasts in their own way, and coming together to form their own small friend group. Every member bar the oldest girl wearing a different Featherman mask. Tatsuya, Lisa, Akechi, Jun Kurosu, and Maya, the original masked circle. Akechi and Lisa aren't the only ones acting off throughout the mountain. One look is enough to tell you that Maya isn't the same as the one we've known throughout the game. Even the way she speaks is a lot more straightforward and simple than how she normally acts. One of the final glimpses of the past we see is probably the most important event in the game's story. Maya reveals to the children that she's moving away, and it breaks them. They had all grown to see her as a big sister, and they couldn't bear the thought of losing her. Their young minds couldn't think of any solid plan to have her stay, so the best thing they could come up with was to lock her in the temple they played at overnight. In their eyes, if she was kept there for a day, then she wouldn't have the chance to leave them. The only one against this plan was Tatsuya, and as a result he was locked in with her. The next day, when the children went to find their big sister again, they discovered that the temple had been burnt to the ground. The word eventually got around that Tatsuya had survived the fire, but for the past 10 years, Lisa and Akechi were both convinced that they had gotten Maya killed, and the guilt was so unbearable that they couldn't even process it. Instead, they just convinced themselves it hadn't happened, that their entire friendship as children was just a bad dream. The children left their masks at Mount Iwado and swore to never meet again. As players, we're aware that Maya didn't die during this incident. The one behind the temple's fire was one of the members of the current mass circle, and one of the main villains in the story, Tatsuya Sudo. Yes, Sudo, with a D. Confusing, I know. Sudo started the fire, but with the first awakening of his persona, Tatsuya fought him off and saved Maya. The ghost that we followed throughout the mountain is Maya's ghost. Not really, of course, but it still exists because of the rumor spread that she died in the temple fire. Lisa and Akechi are convinced that Joker's true identity is Maya, coming to take revenge after they had gotten her killed. And when we next reunite with Maya, she seems to confirm this theory, blaming our characters and telling them she wants revenge. Good thing this Maya is also not real. A third Maya appears and explains what's really going on. The current mass circle, the villains of the story, have been committing actual terrorism across Sumeru City, and spread the rumor that our party were behind it. These rumors are so widespread that there are now evil variants of each member of our party that we'll be encountering for the rest of the game. So, to summarize, we have Ghost Maya, born from the rumor that she died during the temple fire. Shadow Maya, born from the rumor that our party are evil and behind the chaos in Sumeru City. And finally, the real Maya, who's been with us for the majority of the story. Joker suddenly appears before the cast, frustrated that his plan to make them believe they had killed Maya failed, and demands that they leave. Instead, the real Maya reveals Joker's true identity, Jun Kurosu, the missing member of the original mass circle, the one who cherished Maya the most. She tells him that they don't need to fight, she's clearly alive and well, but he seems stuck in his own delusion, completely convinced that Tatsuya was the one who killed Maya, and that they all had to pay for their sins. He vanishes again, and after dealing with Shadow Maya, the false ghost reveals that despite the children agreeing to forget the incident entirely, Jun couldn't bring himself to. He revisited the mountain, filled with guilt for years, and as time went on, he was filled with false memories, much like Lisa and Akechi were. The next time we meet Joker, we see visions of Jun as a child, and learn what he believes happened. In his clouded memory, he's somehow been tricked into believing that to stop Maya from leaving them, the kids agree to kill her, with Tatsuya using his persona to burn the temple down with her inside. Our party are determined to make him see the truth, and after battling Joker and having Jun begin to see a glimpse of reality, it's revealed who's really been pulling the strings from the start. Nyarlathotep, in the form of Jun's own father, who in reality died years beforehand. He gave Jun the false memories, gave him the form of Joker, and is the reason rumors have been coming to life from the beginning. From this point onwards, after Jun remembers how things truly happened, he joins our party and the cast set their sights on stopping Nyarlathotep. Once we finally reach the end of the story, coming face to face with both Nyarlathotep and Philemon, it's revealed that they were both heavily involved in the game's events. But while Philemon is only willing to watch from the sidelines, Nyarlathotep is willing to take matters into his own hands. And as a final note to prove how far he's willing to go, Maya is killed. Nyarlathotep laughs and decides to grant the final wish that he believes all humanity truly desires: total destruction. The world is destroyed. Maya has been killed, and the only hope our cast have of making things right again and preventing all of this is to erase the very first moment Nyarlathotep began to pull the strings of this story. The day they all first met. Determined to save their big sister, everyone agrees, certain that deep down they'll never forget their bonds. But only one character is hesitant in this plan. Tatsuya himself. He can't bring himself to let everything they've done together disappear. Even if it would mean saving the world, saving Maya's life, he can't let go of the people he loves most. Tatsuya commits the innocent sin of choosing to hold on to his loved ones, and for that, he'll face an eternal punishment. Absolute cinema. And that's where the story ends. Eternal punishment continues onwards from it, of course, but it takes place entirely within the new universe formed during the ending of this one. I really, truly wish I could talk more about this game's story, and the amount of layers and depth it holds, but we'd be here all day. It's beautiful, it's tragic, it's charming, it's a mess, and I love it so much. Please consider at least giving the game a try if you have the time, because I promise you it's worth it. I don't know what else there is to say. My favourite Persona game is the one that no one talks about. And yes, Hitler is in it.